Okay, so I haven't made a video for YouTube like this in a little while. I've been focusing on TikTok a little bit, and just kind of, I don't know, I haven't had something to share like this for a little while, but God just revealed this to me yesterday, reading with my father-in-law, and it's just incredible. It's absolutely incredible what God revealed. It's just another example of Yeshua quoting the Old Testament, and really, as me and my brothers and sisters are constantly telling people, Mark 13, Matthew 24, Yeshua commanded us all to watch. Okay, and to watch means to do what Ezekiel 2 and 3 says. It means to be watchmen. That when you see the sword, which is God's judgment, coming, that you warn the people so that they don't suffer the consequences of sin. Now, all throughout prophecy, in all the prophets, from Samuel right through to Malachi, and including John the Baptist, including Yeshua, including all the apostles, they are all warning you of exactly what you have done. You have all missed the warnings in prophecy. And I'm talking to the Christian church, I'm talking to the Torah movement, the great whore and her many harlots. That's what the church is. It's a great big whore, because the church is not keeping the holy covenants. They are not fulfilling the royal law. They're entertaining all of these false doctrines. They're entertaining pagan traditions, doing everything that God told them not to do. You've got all of these warnings throughout prophecy of forgetting God's ways and doing what is right in your own eyes, indulging in the lusts and the cares of this world rather than focusing on what actually matters, what God actually wants you to do. And these warnings are in there. God doesn't warn in vain. He warns of things that people are going to do. And sure enough, you've all done it. I did it. I did Christmas and Easter. I was full of sin, but I didn't grow up in the church. I didn't really know any better. But all you people in the church, what are you doing? Like, this is your book. Why are you not doing what this book tells you to do? All you do is you cherry pick certain scriptures that you like, that make you feel warm and cozy and fuzzy, but you just ignore all of these warnings and prophecy. And you say that they've all been fulfilled, but saying that is like the most ignorant thing you could ever say. Like, what are you talking about? No, like, this is obvious that, the prophets even say themselves, in the latter days you will consider this perfect. Well, you're going to consider it perfectly because it's going to be happening to you in the latter days. Okay, now, if you read, for example, 2 Peter 3, he warns you not to forget the words of the prophets. Okay, and then when you go read the prophets, and it's constantly warning you about the church going apostate, about forgetting the covenants, forgetting the judgment of God, the righteous judgment, which is what the Messiah even came to show us how to do. Like, it's always warning you not to forget these things. But you've all forgotten it. And so to give you another chance, what God does is he raises up these servants in the last generation, and they are given the Holy Spirit of truth so that they can see the warnings and prophecy. They can understand this book so that they can warn you. And that's what I'm doing. Okay, now, if we read Proverbs 7, starting off here. All right, listen to this, verse 1. My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. So, pausing straight away. Keep my words. What are his words? This is his words. This is what his word is. Revelation 1. Blessed are they that read, hear, and do the things written in this book. Okay? Like, if you forget prophecy, if you ignore prophecy, if you say, oh, that's Old Testament, that's not relevant anymore, well, then you're not keeping his words. If you aren't executing righteous judgment, well, then you aren't keeping his words. And to lay up the commandments with thee. Okay, now, there's plenty of people who say, yep, we should keep the commandments. But then you delve into it a bit more and you say, well, do you keep the Sabbath? No, Jesus is my Sabbath. Do you do Christmas and Easter? It's pagan idolatry. Oh, no, it's about Jesus. So you say that you have to keep the commandments, but when you actually start breaking them down, you don't keep the commandments. Keep the commandments and live. So if you don't keep the commandments, you won't live. Keep the commandments and live, and the law as the apple of my eye. Now, I forget where it is, but you can search this out for yourself. There's a scripture that says that if you keep the commandments, then you will be the apple of his eye. So it's like a two-way street. We keep the commandments as the apple of our eye, and in return, if we do that, we are the apple of his eye. So if you aren't keeping the commandments and they're not the apple of your eye, well, you're not the apple of his eye. Bind them upon thy fingers, and write them upon the table of thine heart. Bind them upon your fingers. How many fingers do we have? 10. 10 commandments. You see the way that God writes his word in idioms? Okay? All you people who will say, oh, well, do you keep all 613 commandments? Well, unless you're some sort of freak with 613 fingers, this tells you which commandments God wants us to keep. 10. Simple. Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman, that they may keep thee from the strange woman, and from the stranger which flattereth with her words. You remember Paul warning us that in the last generation people would no longer endure sound doctrine, but would instead heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, being enticed by smooth ear-tickling words. That's your church. What's a more smooth ear-tickling doctrine than once saved, always saved? Or saved by unmerited favor? Kick your feet up, relax, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is believe that Jesus existed. What an absolute joke. That, if you read the Bible and that's your takeaway, then you have zero discernment, you have no eyes to see, no ears to hear. You are completely blind, deaf, and dumb. And it's more than likely because you are committing idolatry. Psalm 115 tells you that. And if you sitting there scratching your head saying, well, I don't commit idolatry. If you're doing Christmas and Easter, you are. For at the window of my house I looked through my casement, and I beheld the simple ones, and I discerned amongst the youths a young man void of understanding, passing through the streets near her corner, and he went the way to her house. In the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of a harlot, and subtle of heart. She is loud and stubborn, her feet abide not in her house. Now is she without, now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him, and with an impudent face said unto him, I have peace offerings with me. This day have I paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet thee, diligently to seek thy face. And I have found thee. I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry and carved works, with fine linen of Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh and aloes and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning, and let us solace ourselves with loves. So I'm going to quickly pause there. This is telling you, okay, that the whole church, don't take this literally, this is spiritual. This is talking in the spiritual sense. So this whole church sees this young man, void of understanding, and she entices him in with smooth words. And then she causes him to commit fornication with her. That is what the church does. Because Ezekiel 34 tells you that there are a portion of people who truly want to know God. They want to know him, they want to serve him, they want to obey him, but they don't know how. Okay, and of course they don't know how. If no one's ever told them, if no one's ever taught them what God desires, then they wouldn't know. Okay, this is why the royal law is so important, because Yeshua came along, he refreshed the covenant, he took away the sacrificial law, magnified the royal law, and he set this standard and this example that we were all supposed to follow, and that Yeshua came and he taught us what God desires, he taught us how to love each other, and then from Yeshua, we were just supposed to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. In every generation, it's exactly what Deuteronomy 6 tells us to do. That you keep the commandments and you teach your children to keep the commandments, and then your children obey you, and then they teach their children and their children obey them, and it just keeps going and going and going. Okay? This is what it even means to honor your mother and your father. That's what it means. Go and read Ephesians 6. It means to keep the commandments and to obey the commandments. Okay? But because the church haven't done that, now you have these people who want to know God, but they're just confused. And when the majority of churches, and I mean a very, very big, vast majority of churches, are teaching these false, wicked, abominable doctrines, they're just eating up God's people, and they're devouring them, and they're destroying them, and they're leading them to the pit. Okay? Now, listen to what it says next. So I'll go from verse 18 again. The whole church says to the man, "Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with loves. For the good man is not at home. He is gone on a long journey. He hath taken a bag of money with him, and will come home at the appointed day. With her much fair speech, she caused him to yield. With flattering of her lips, she forced him. He goeth after her straightway as an ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks, till a dart strike through his liver, and a bird hasteneth to snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. Hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. Let not thine heart decline to her ways, and go not astray in her paths. For she hath cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death." Okay? So, in verse 19, this is what Yeshua has to be referencing in Matthew 24 and Mark 13. Okay? Now we can go and read those. Okay, Matthew 24. And Yeshua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yeshua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yeshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive thee. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, I am anointed, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumours of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginnings of the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. Okay? Many deceiving many there. And because iniquity shall abound, and the love because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, then shall the end come. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let him which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything of the house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to those that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor shall ever be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise many false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. If it were possible, but it's not possible, because the very elect are the 144,000 who have no guile in their mouths, so they're not going to be deceived. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even to the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Okay, so up until this point, it's like the first 5 seals, and then verse 29, we go into the 6th seal here. Okay, so the 6th seal hasn't opened yet. The great and terrible day of the Lord has not arrived yet. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So that's talking about the 144,000 gathering the woman, which is God's people who he gathers on the second Exodus. When we read Jeremiah 23, it's everywhere. Revelation 12, Jeremiah 30 and 31. Verse 32, Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth his leaves, you know that summer is nigh. So likewise you, when you see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Now, a lot of people are going to take that verse out of context, and they say, you see, he's saying that all of this has to happen within Yeshua's generation. But no, he's talking about this generation, the generation of the great and terrible day of the Lord. Okay? And when you understand Hosea 6, and that Peter quotes or makes reference to Hosea 6 in 2 Peter, that a day with the Lord is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as a day with the Lord, and to not be ignorant of this mystery, Hosea 6 tells you that Yeshua is going to be received into the heavens for 2,000 years, and he's going to return 2,000 years after he was crucified, and that is when the great and terrible day of the Lord comes. Well, here we are in 2024, and it's a fair guess that Yeshua was crucified in 28 to 33, somewhere in that region. So take off 3.5 years of great tribulation. Well, we're right there. It is at the doors. Me and my brothers and sisters aren't ignorant of that mystery, but the whole church is. The whole church is ignorant. And so the day of the Lord is going to come upon them like a thief in the night. Now I'm going to keep reading. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words, remember what Proverbs 7 says? My son, keep my words. Well, you haven't kept them. To you they have passed away. It's unbelievable. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words will not pass away. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as of the days of Noah were, so also shall be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in the days that were before the flood, so they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark. Okay? And knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Well, if you go read Isaiah 28 and Revelation 12 and plenty of other places, when Satan is cast down at the sixth seal, it describes him as being cast down as a flood. So it really is just like the days of Noah. But Satan's going to get cast down, and people are just going to be completely blindsided. They're going to be totally taken out of left field. They're going to have no idea what's going on because they have put away the words of this book. They've forgotten the words of the prophets. They haven't been watching. And that's exactly what the Messiah is about to tell you to do. Then shall be two in the field, and one shall be taken and another left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, and one shall be taken and another left. Now, another thing here. All you people who believe in the pre-trib rapture, and you use these scriptures to say, you see, one of us is going to be taken. This just shows how willfully ignorant you are of the scriptures. Literally, the verse before tells you that those that are taken, they are the wicked sinners. So the person who is taken from the field, that's not you being raptured. That's you being taken and caught in a snare because you haven't been watching or doing anything that your Messiah told you to do. Watch ye therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house, for the good man is not at home, you know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, that he would have watched, and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man cometh. Who then is faithful and a wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give him the meat in due season? Let's go to Hebrews 5. Let's see who receives meat in due season, because it's not you in the Christian church. Okay, verse 12 of Hebrews 5. For when for the time you ought to be teachers, you have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles or prophets of God, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. For everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat in due season, belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. The same people in Malachi 3:16 through to 18 who are going to return with the Messiah to judge between the righteous and the wicked, and to judge between those who serve God and those that serve him not. Okay? Meat in due season is given to the servants. Those who are actually doing what the Messiah told them to do. Those who are watching. Those who are waiting. Proverbs 8, verses 34 and 35, something like that. Blessed is he that is watching daily at my gates, standing in the post of my doors, waiting. Watching and waiting. It means being a servant. You watch, do what Ezekiel 2 and 3 says, and you wait for the meat in due season. You stand in the gate. You're nailed to the door. The door is Yeshua. Okay? Strong meat belongs to those who are going to judge righteous judgment. Okay? No one in the Christian church is judging righteous judgment, so you don't receive meat in due season. This is why you don't understand prophecy. And I know that you don't understand prophecy. You haven't got a clue. And I hope that this is convicting to you. Even, I forget where it is. I think it's Paul says it. You can just Google it. If you don't work, you don't eat. That's one of the most amazing little verses in the whole Bible to me, because it's so clear. If you don't work, if you don't do the work of a servant, then you don't eat the meat and juice season. Well, how convenient that you all sit there and say you're not saved by works. If we're not saved by works, how do you expect the gospel to be spread to the four corners of the world? Again, because you don't understand prophecy, you don't understand the way that this book works, you don't understand what God wants, you just miss everything. And so you see these scriptures that say we're not saved by works, not understanding that it's talking about works of the sacrificial law or self-righteous works, but that God has preordained good works, that we should follow them. Because who set the example? Yeshua the Messiah. He worked. And you all just sit there and you just say, the burden of the Lord, the burden of the Lord. Just like Jeremiah 23 warned you not to say. You put it all on Yeshua. When Yeshua himself told you in multiple places, John 14:12 being one of them, that he that believes will do what I have done. Okay, well, obviously we can't go up on the cross and do what he did there, but he's telling us that if we believe, we'll follow his example and do what he did. Well, what did he do? He taught the 10 Commandments and he fulfilled the royal law. Okay, back to Matthew 24. Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Find so watching. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. His goods are his people. So those that are watching now, they will be the kings under the king. They will be rulers in the kingdom. But and if that evil servant say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he was not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Go read Isaiah 66. That tells you exactly what the weeping and gnashing of teeth is. Okay, now let's go read Mark 13. It says the exact same thing, but we're going to read it anyway. And we are going to go back to Proverbs 7 in a second here. Okay. In fact, let's put a bookmark in there. Mark 13. And as he went out of the temple, one of his disciples saith unto him, Master, see what manner of stones and what buildings are here. And Yeshua answering said unto him, Seest thou, well, we don't really need to read that part, because it really is, it's saying it's almost word for word what Matthew 24 says, but the last part is a little bit different. Okay, so I'll go from verse 32. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father. Take ye heed, watch, and pray, for you know not when the time is. For the Son of Man is a man taking a far journey, who left his house, and gave his authority to his servants, and to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. Watch ye therefore, for you know not when the master of the house cometh, at even or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. And what I say unto the porter, and what I say unto you, the porter, I say unto all, watch. Okay? Right, so you've got Yeshua giving you all of this warning of many are going to come in his name, proclaiming that they're anointed, proclaiming that the Spirit is with them. Many are going to deceive many. Many times many is a lot. A lot like 2.4 billion Christians in the world. Okay? There's going to be all of this deception going on, but there's going to be a group of people who won't be deceived, and they're the very elect. And what are they doing? They're watching. Okay? They're watching because they know what prophecy says. They know that the Lord is going to tarry for 2,000 years. And so here we are, sitting 2,000 years later, give or take just a few years. So we're laser focused right now because we know that the day of the Lord comes like a thief in the night. And we aren't going to be taken with our pants down. We're not going to be taken by surprise. We know that it's coming. We don't know the exact day or the exact hour, but we know it's at the doors. Okay? All you people in the Christian church, you ignored all of this. You ignored every single word that your Messiah said. You haven't been watching. You've counted the words of the prophets as a light thing. You've completely ignored them. Okay? And then this whore church comes along and she entices you in with her smooth words. And she says, oh, don't worry. He's not going to come back anytime soon. And you just went, okay. Yeah, let's hop into bed. And then you commit fornication with her. And you do the Christmas and the Easter. And you stop keeping the Sabbath. And you stop fulfilling the royal law. And you just ignore everything that your Messiah told you to do. And you perfectly fulfill what Proverbs 7 is saying. Okay? And then he is going to return like a thief in the night. And what's he going to find you doing? He's not going to find you watching. He's going to find you fast asleep. And he's just going to laugh at you and he'll be like, you foolish, unwise, slothful, evil servant. Go away, go into the outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. But all of the servants who were watching, he's going to say, good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of the Lord. So you better start watching. You better start watching. Go and read Ezekiel 2 and 3. Go and read Ezekiel 33. That's how you know how to watch. Go read Hosea 6. Go read 2 Peter. Learn that the day of the Lord comes like a thief in the night. Go and learn that the Lord tarries for 2,000 years. If you've watched this video and you're like, whoa, reach out. My email's in the description. Reach out. We can get on the phone. We can talk about these things. I've got brothers. I've got sisters. We're here to help. This is what watching is. This is what I do. Okay? People think I'm crazy. People hate it. People don't want to know. Like my own family. But I'm going to do it anyway because I'm not going to be caught sleeping. I'm not going to be caught dumb. It's not happening. So, it has to happen. That thou doest, do quickly. That's what Yeshua said with Judas Iscariot. People have to fulfill these prophecies. Isaiah 56, the dumb dogs who love to slumber, they love to sleep. They're going to be caught with their pants down when the day of the Lord comes. Many were called to watch, but only few choose to do it. Only few actually watch. Only few people actually do what the Messiah told you to do. Okay? Don't be like that. Just come on. Look at Proverbs 7, man. Look at what it says. I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry and with carved works. Go into any church and they got a big carving of Yeshua up on the cross. It's so obviously the whore church. Go and read Revelation. Go and read about the great whore and her many harlot daughters. It's the Catholic Church and the Protestant Reformation. All the 50,000 denominations or whatever there is. I got an itchy nose. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. Well, if her house is the way to hell, and the watchmen who are raised up in the last days, they're preaching the way, which is the covenant. Go and read Exodus 23. Go and read Exodus 17. The way is the covenant. And then Yeshua comes along and he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Well, if he is the way, that's because Deuteronomy 18 applies. He came to teach us the holy covenant promised at Horeb. And so if you aren't keeping the covenant at Horeb, then you aren't listening to that prophet, and so you get cut off. You get sent where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. I have nothing else to say.